Welcome to our Alternative Perspective interview series, and we are delighted to be joined by Autism and ADHD advocate Niamh Rochford.
Hi, I'm Niamh. I was late diagnosed autistic and ADHD in June 2024. And ever since then, I've been trying to advocate and help women get diagnosed because, as we all know, it's very, very hard for women to get diagnosed. So I'm here trying to help as much as I can.
Thank you, Niamh. So you said that you were diagnosed only a couple of years back. So I just wanted to ask you, so how did your autism diagnosis come about?
So basically, I was struggling quite a lot of my life, like the whole time, really. And I eventually got a counsellor who was specialised in neurodivergency. And she was asking me about my anxiety because I have really high levels of anxiety. And then eventually she started asking me, do I have any sensory issues? And that's when I actually realized I do have sensory issues. I have problems with loud noises. That's really my biggest one. And she was saying that I could possibly be autistic. And this is the first person who has ever thought that I could be autistic. So I kind of ran with it. I tried to go to my GP. Straight away, they said I could give eye contact, so there's no way I could be autistic. So I kind of left and decided to try and just leave it behind me. Maybe I'm not autistic, let's just forget about it. And then sadly, I had to go to A&E because my mental health was in such a bad state. They actually referred me finally to an autism assessment place. I had to wait 6 months for an appointment, and then I finally got my appointment, and I had one session every week for 7 weeks. And then I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and combined type of ADHD.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Niamh. So it sounds like you went through quite a lot of struggles with like your mental health. From what I've heard, it seems like it had quite an impact on you, not knowing what your differences were and why you were having such struggles in your life up until that point. So I just wanted to ask you, so how has having a diagnosis impacted your understanding of how your mind works?
It's impacted it a lot, to be honest. Before my diagnosis, I didn't have any words for how I felt. So I couldn't say, well, I'm autistic, so I feel this way. All I kind of had was, oh God, I'm too sensitive, or what other people were telling me what I was. Then once I was diagnosed and I actually started researching it and I understood all the words, and then I kind of unpacked my own diagnosis. So I went online and I typed in everything that I felt, and then I found all the words. So instead of feeling like I was stupid, I actually have a problem with reading. So there's words for that now. So I don't have to call myself stupid anymore, which was it massively impacted me because I think most of my life, my mental health was really bad because of how I spoke to myself. I constantly told myself I was stupid, I was dumb, I have no friends because I'm so bad with socializing, stuff like that. And I didn't have a reason why. And now that I'm diagnosed, I finally have that reason, which it has truly changed my life. Labels like echolalia and aphryd and alexithymia, all of them things is what I experience. And before my diagnosis, I just thought I was weird. But now there's all these labels and these words that actually help people understand it. So I think it's just it's massively changed how I think of my brain and how I think of even other people.
It's really impactful what you said there. Now having the vocabulary to describe how you were feeling. So you had these feelings, but you didn't know how to put it. And again, you're using a lot of negative labels, calling yourself stupid for struggling with things. It's just that your brain was working differently. If you were diagnosed earlier in life, how would that have impacted you growing up?
I think it would have had a massive impact. I struggled throughout secondary school mostly. Primary school, I was given a little tiny bit of help. I got some extra classes with reading and spelling. In fact, that was the only type of help I got. Everything else was left up to me. And being in school, you can see your peers, you can see how different you are to them. All of these girls are out playing all the time, and I'm inside because I'm so tired, and I don't know why I'm so tired. I'm 6, I shouldn't be tired, but I was because of the social stuff. So having your friends call you stupid, having your friends say, well, why aren't you playing with us, without actually giving them the reason. I don't know the reason. The reason is I just can't do that. But if I was diagnosed when I was younger, I could have been able to say, well, I'm autistic, so I actually have less energy than you do. So that's why I can't play. But because I didn't, I had no reason, I had no answer for anybody. So I lost so many friends. Towards the end of my secondary school, I missed most of my days. So I ended up struggling a lot in my grades, but I did graduate, thank God. But it was very, very hard. The school system that I went to was very mainstream. So every time I walked into school, girls were screaming, girls were talking, and it was constant sensory mess. But I think if I was diagnosed, I could have been in a different school that was better made for me.
And it just shows the impact that having a diagnosis has. So you've said how it would have supported you growing up. So I want to ask now, how's your autism diagnosis supported you with regards to your career?
I've always been into psychology. I've really been into it. And I think I've always been into it because I didn't feel like I was getting help anywhere else. So I felt like the only answer was for me to go down the psychology route and try and fix myself. So that's where I was kind of going. And then the autism diagnosis happened. And when I first got the diagnosis, I never thought that I'd ever advocate for it. And then like as the weeks and months kept passing, I kept seeing more women talk about it. And I related so much to it. Like it feels like there's like a big community of women that have autism that feel the exact same. So I kept seeing that all the time. And I was like, I'd love to do that. And then I had a really bad December of 2025. I had a really, really bad month. And I really wanted to come into 2026 feeling different and doing something different. So in January of this year, I only started my advocating work, and it's been literally the best thing I've ever done. I've met so many amazing people like yourself and so many women that feel the exact same thing that I do. And I feel so much more connected to so many more people than I ever have before. And it's all because I started advocating. And it's all because I got my autism diagnosis. Like it truly is amazing, and it changed my career.
Which I think is amazing that you're actually using your experience to help others. And I think that is key. You went onto the online space and you realized that actually there were a lot of other autistic women that were in similar positions to you, and you were able to relate to that. So I just want to ask you, so what do you think are some of the greatest challenges that autistic women face?
The main ones to me personally is like number one is not being believed. And like that's based on how you look, how you talk, or how you present with autism. And I do think that that's so harmful. Like I feel like some people have a stereotype on autism, and if you don't fit that stereotype, then you can't be autistic. But that's not true. People pick up different things, and that's just the way life works. Like everybody is very different. So why isn't autism very different? A male may present in that way, a woman might present in that way. We're all right. Nobody's wrong. We all just have autism. And I do think that that's also what has stopped a lot of women being diagnosed, is because we don't look it or we don't act it. And that's just down to masking. A lot of us do mask, and a lot of women actually have to mask because of safety. Like as soon as you unmask, if you unmask around the wrong crowd, you might be harassed, you might be bullied, stuff like that. So it is still a protection thing. And I've seen this trend, and I definitely wanted to speak about it, of men putting in their Tinder bios that they would love an autistic woman as a girlfriend. I do think it's because they have the thought that autistic women are like cute, cuddly. Then they get with us, and then we actually show that we're autistic. So we have a meltdown, or we have a shutdown, or we're burned out, and then they'll turn around and call us crazy. And then they're not supporting the actual autistic person that's in front of them. It's very unfair to an autistic woman. She should be able to be herself completely.
What do you think could be done so that we can better support autistic women?
I think, honestly, like a nice mixture of freedom and support, letting the autistic person be themselves and like supporting them in that, amplifying autistic women's voices. So like if you see an autistic woman advocate sharing a story, like share it to your story, repost it, listen to it, read it, even maybe comment on it. Like do whatever you can to support that person, because one, it's really, really hard to be vulnerable online. So I think once someone does, it's so important to actually listen to them and understand where they're coming from, and to also to protect that. Definitely, if more research and studies were actually done about autistic women that include autistic women, I think that would help so much, because there's definitely a big mess about like the autism presentations. And I think if more people understood how women presentate, I think that could actually help a lot. We need more autistic women advocates. We need more autistic women in healthcare. We need more autistic women in being an assessor for autism.
Thank you, Niamh. What do you think healthcare professionals should be aware of so they can provide better support to autistic patients?
The biggest thing that I would say to all healthcare providers is to please, please, please listen to all of your patients. At the time that I was actually misdiagnosed was because they weren't listening to me. So I did explain my sensory issues before to a GP a very long time ago, and straight away she put that down to me being anxious. And I just wasn't listened to, and I do feel like I was missed because of that. It's very hard for an autistic person sometimes to tell you how they feel, but even if they are trying, you should take notes and you should give them all the options that you have for them. Another massive thing is with women, and I've experienced this myself in my life, is that there's sometimes when I go to my GP on my own and they won't listen to me at all. And then there's other times where I'll bring my male partner and then everything is sorted. So I do think if healthcare providers are a little bit more switched on to that, of like women shouldn't have to bring a male partner to be listened to. Like if you have a young woman coming into you, please try and listen to her and like help her open up, like help her talk about it and try and help her. It's so important. No autistic person deserves to feel overwhelmed or overstimulated by trying to get help.
Thank you, Niamh. What advice would you give to women who believe that they may be autistic?
First, I give my counsellors advice. If you researched autism and you feel in your gut that fills the void in you, like that makes sense to you, that feels like you just feel a connection towards it, then you most likely are autistic. Like if you feel that much of a connection towards it, then you most likely are. I'm not going to say yes, and my counsellor never told me that I was definitely autistic either. Like that's why diagnoses are there. We have to make sure. My own advice, and it's the advice that I have been given some people, especially women, like it's so important to remember if you're a woman and you feel like you might be autistic, it's so important to know that it's going to be hard, but to never, ever, ever stop fighting for it. If you do feel that, please look it up, like research the hell out of it. Write down all your symptoms, write down all the traits that you feel are autistic, connect them with autism, bring that sheet of paper into your GP. Definitely try and bring a friend or a partner or something like that, because it can be so hard to be vulnerable with a doctor. So I do think all of that is very important. Please have your knowledge and be ready to fight for it because it's so worth it.